You walk into a room and people sit up straighter. Conversations shift just slightly in your direction. People remember your name before you remember theirs. You are, by almost every external measure, respected. And yet, if someone asked your closest colleague to describe who you really are, they would pause. They would say something about your achievements. You're calm under pressure. The way you handle hard conversations. But they would not be able to tell that person what you're afraid of. They would not know what keeps you up at night. This is not an accident. This is a pattern, and your brain built it on purpose a long time ago for reasons it never explained to you. Respect and intimacy are not the same currency. Your mind learned this early, maybe without you ever noticing the lesson. Somewhere in your history, being fully seen came with a cost, and being competent came with a reward. So you optimized quietly, automatically, the way a plant grows toward light without deciding to. You became someone people admire from a slight distance. Not because you're cold, because distance, to your nervous system, once meant safety. Here are 7 signs this is you, and what it's actually costing you. The first sign is that people ask you for advice far more than they ask how you're doing. Think about the last 10 conversations you had. How many opened with someone bringing you a problem? How many opened with someone asking what's going on in your own life and actually waiting for the real answer? Psychologist Sherry Turkle, who has spent decades studying connection in the digital age, found something striking in her interviews. The people others described as the strong one in a friend group were consistently the ones who received the least emotional inquiry. Not because anyone was being unkind, because competence creates a kind of invisible sign on your forehead that reads, "Fine." People read that sign and believe it. You taught them to. The second sign is that you give advice with total clarity, but you struggle to ask for help without over-explaining or downplaying it first. Notice the difference. When a friend needs your guidance, you say it straight, no hedging. But when you need something, watch what happens to your sentences. They get longer. They get padded with disclaimers. It's not a big deal, but, I hate even asking, but. Brené Brown, who has researched vulnerability for over 20 years, identified this exact asymmetry in high-functioning, highly respected people. She found that the more publicly capable someone appears, the more privately they apologize for having needs at all. You're not bad at asking. You're trained to believe asking costs you status, so you pay in silence instead. The third sign is that people are surprised, almost confused, when they learn something difficult happened to you. You mention, in passing, that a year was hard, and you watch their face change in real time because the version of you they constructed in their head did not include hardship. They built you as someone things happen around, not to. This isn't because you lied to them, it's because you simply never offered the update. Silence, over time, gets mistaken for absence of struggle. The fourth sign is that you remember details about other people's lives with startling accuracy, but most people couldn't tell you your own. You know your coworker's kid's name, their dog's name, the exact date of their surgery. Meanwhile, someone could not tell a stranger what you actually want out of life if their own comfort depended on it. Attention is not neutral. Where you point it, you build connection. And for a long time, you've pointed it outward. The fifth sign is that you are the one people call in a crisis, never the one who calls. Crisis calling is a strange kind of compliment. It means people trust your steadiness completely. But trace it backward. When did you last call someone in your own crisis, your actual crisis, the 3 a.m. kind? If the answer is rarely or never, that's not strength. That's a closed loop. You built a one-way bridge and called it friendship. The sixth sign is that compliments about your character land easier than compliments about your effort or your pain. Someone tells you you're so strong and you smile and accept it instantly. Someone tells you, I'm sorry that was hard for you, and something in you flinches, deflects, changes the subject. Strength is safe to receive because it confirms the role. Sympathy is dangerous because it requires you to admit the role has a cost. The seventh sign, the quietest one, is that you've stopped expecting to be asked the real question. Not, how are you? The script answer to that has long since calcified into good, busy, you, the real question. The one that says, I see there's more here and I want it. You've stopped expecting it because somewhere along the way, you stopped offering an opening for it. People generally ask what they sense they're allowed to ask. Now here's where this gets strange, because your brain did not build this pattern by accident, and it didn't build it recently. Evolutionary psychologists studying status and vulnerability across small-scale societies have found something counterintuitive. In most early human groups, high-status individuals, the skilled hunters, the respected elders, the capable negotiators, were not necessarily the most emotionally known members of the group. Status often required a performance of steadiness, because the group needed its most capable members to function as stable infrastructure. A leader who displayed constant emotional need risked being seen as a liability in moments that required calm decision-making. So a trade was made, somewhere far back in your ancestral line. Competence in exchange for distance. Reliability in exchange for opacity. Your nervous system still runs this trade today, even though you are not foraging for food or defending territory. It runs because the underlying machinery is ancient. And ancient machinery does not get a software update just because your environment changed. Researcher and psychiatrist Stephen Porges, known for his work on the autonomic nervous system, has shown that your body's threat detection system, what he calls the vagal system, does not distinguish well between I might be physically harmed and I might be socially exposed. Being truly known, having your insides visible, can register in the body as a kind of threat. Not because intimacy is actually dangerous now, because somewhere, sometime, it was. So you built competence as armor. And it worked. It got you respect, reliability, a reputation as the person who holds things together. But armor has a specific design flaw. It protects you from being hurt, and it also prevents you from being held. You cannot be embraced through steel. The same wall that keeps out the people who might have used your vulnerability against you also keeps out the people who would have simply loved you for it. Here's the twist most people miss entirely. They assume the goal is to tear the wall down, all at once, dramatically, to suddenly become an open book. That's not how trust architecture works, and it's not how your nervous system will accept change. Trust is not a confession. Trust is a repeated, small, low-stakes demonstration that vulnerability did not result in punishment. Psychologist Arthur Aron's research on closeness, the same research that produced the well-known 36 Questions framework, found that intimacy builds through escalating, reciprocal disclosure, not through one large reveal. You don't need to tell everyone everything. You need to tell one person one slightly truer thing than you normally would, and watch what happens when they don't flinch. Think about what this means for the people who already love you, the ones who've been standing just outside that wall for years, patiently knocking in their own quiet ways. They don't want your competence. They have access to that already. Everyone does. What they want, what they've likely never said out loud because it felt presumptuous to ask, is the version of you that exists underneath the reliability, the version that gets tired, the version that doubts, the version that needs, occasionally, to be the one who is taken care of. There's a particular kind of loneliness that doesn't look like loneliness from the outside. It looks like a packed calendar. It looks like a phone that won't stop buzzing with people who need something from you. It looks paradoxically like being the most needed person in every room you walk into. But being needed and being known are different addresses entirely, and you can live your whole life at one without ever visiting the other. So here is the modern mirror, the place where all of this lands. The next time someone you trust asks how you are, notice the script answer rising automatically in your throat. Good, busy. And just once, let it stay unsaid for 1 extra second. In that second, decide if there's a truer sentence available. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It doesn't have to be your deepest wound. It just has to be 1 degree more honest than what you'd normally offer. Because the people who walk into a room and make others sit up straighter, the ones everyone respects and almost no one truly knows, are not broken. They built something extraordinary out of necessity. But extraordinary things left unexamined calcify into cages. And the only way out of a cage you built yourself is the same way you built it. 1 small, quiet, repeated choice at a time. Not to be less capable, just, finally, to be reachable.
The mind counts the years.